If you've been involved in a terrible accident or somebody you love and you think that the road conditions played a part in that accident, do not call a lawyer you see on TV. Call a lawyer who understands road defect and road design cases. And I'm going to talk to you about why right now. Hi, I'm Michael Coker, and I'm a personal injury lawyer in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I'm going to explain to you something extremely complicated that most lawyers don't even know exist. And it's called a road design or road defect case. Did you know that if you were involved in an accident and some aspect of that accident was caused by the design or even the maintenance of a roadway, you might have a case? But these cases are really strange, and there's a lot of nuance about them. And so you need to have a lawyer that understands that. And so I'm going to give you some free information today, but I want you to call someone who knows what they're doing. If you want to call us, we're more than happy to help you and give you a free consultation. But let's talk a little bit about road design cases. First, road design cases often fall into two categories. One, let's say there's a normal car accident with somebody at fault, but because of how the road was designed or because of some issue or defect in the roadway, the injuries were substantially worse. That can create what's called a road design case, meaning if there's some aspect, let's say there was a simple car wreck, but maybe when you look to the side of the road, there was a huge ditch down the side. And so without that ditch, it would have been a small minor fender bender. But with the ditch, the car went down and people suffered serious injuries or even died. That means that that could be a totally separate case from just pursuing the at-fault driver. You might be able to go after the city, the county, or even the state for the way that they designed that road, for not having a guardrail or not filling in that ditch at the bottom. Those are the first type of case where an accident happens, but the damages or the injuries are much worse because of the design of the road. The second type of case often involves a single car accident where maybe somebody was driving down the road and maybe their front tires left the side of the roadway. And so they tried to overcorrect to re-enter the roadway, but maybe there was a drop off on the side. Maybe there was a ditch and maybe the pavement had a big gap. And so when the person turned the wheel to come back across, they cut across the roadway and end up hitting a tree or something on the opposite side. That might also be a road design case because there's certain requirements for maintenance of these roadways. In fact, the roadway cannot have a drop-off from the pavement to the ground more than a certain level. And if that level is greater than a certain distance, if that caused a person to have an accident, that county, city, or even state could be liable. Now, I've done many of these cases, and they involve all types of things. They can involve curves that are too steep, drop-offs on the side of the roadway, traffic lights that are malfunctioning. All of these fall into this road design category. Well, how do we know if a road design is improper? Well, the truth is, you probably don't know, and I'm not a civil engineer road designer either, but I do have civil engineer experts on my team that I can call at the ready that can go and investigate the roadway immediately after an accident. And I cannot stress to you how important it is that this be done almost immediately after the accident, because you don't know how many cities, counties, even the state will come in and make changes to a roadway immediately after an accident, and it destroys all the evidence as to what actually happened and whether or not that party should be liable. And so we have experts at the ready that can go out, take pictures, take measurements, use a drone, use an ultrasound or infrared scan of the area to know exactly what happened in that roadway, whether it met the code, whether it was maintained correctly, and whether it ultimately caused the accident. But this is a complex and a very specialized area of personal injury. And so don't trust any personal injury lawyer with this, because what they're going to do, they're just going to settle with the other driver's insurance company. And there might not be much insurance. It could be a minimum policy of $25,000. And if you've got serious life-threatening injuries, $25,000 is not going to be enough. And so you need to trust an attorney that's not only going to get that $25,000, but it's also going to investigate the road defect case to make sure that you are protected, because the state, the counties, the cities have much larger insurance, much larger exposure that they could be liable for if the road design is an issue. Now, I will tell you that it tends to be the more difficult cases are those against the county, because counties have a lot of sovereign immunity, meaning protections from the law. But cities, the state, if you're on a state highway, so any of those Georgia state highways with a number on it, that means that it's run by the state DOT. So anytime you have a state highway, that would be a state claim. Anytime you're within the city limits, that would be a city limits case. And anytime you're on a county road, that would be a county road case. And you can win all three types of cases, but there is different levels of difficulty, different nuances in each one of those cases. And so please, I urge you, speak to an attorney who knows what they're doing, who understands these cases, who knows whether the road you're on was a city, a county, or a state road, and make sure that they are knowledgeable so that you don't leave a claim on the table. And there's also additional requirements. Cities, counties, and states have to be given a certain notice of a claim within a certain amount of time. And so time is not on your side on this. Sometimes you have to give notice for some of those cases in as little as 6 months. And so you need to reach out to a lawyer today, make sure they understand the notice requirements, make sure they know what type of road you were on, what the defect is, and whether or not you have a claim. And so if we can help you with that, or if I can help you with that as someone who's done many of these cases, many of them successfully with some large settlements in the past, I would be more than happy to give you a free consultation to talk about these cases and what might be going on with your case. So give me a call today. And if you like getting these updates, obviously like and subscribe to this podcast. But everyone, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.